Pandora limits streaming to mobile devices. Hogwarts made of Legos. Tweetbot outs pirated users. And so much more, including Apple's shareholder meeting on today's iWake. Welcome back to another edition of iWake. I am Tim Chaten, and let's jump into the news today. There is quite a bit of it to get to. First off is out of Pandora. They just made an announcement via their blog that free users will be limited to 40 hours of streaming per month if you're on the mobile device. There is no limitation yet for desktop users. They say they're doing this because of the high licensing fees that are now being forced upon Pandora, and that is the reason for this change. So more information about this change is available in the show notes for those interested. Next up, I just want to point out a really, really cool thing TechHive showcased. This is Hogwarts, made of 400,000 Legos. And this is kind of a proof of concept that this can be done. And this wasn't like a kit that someone bought. This was just someone's own creativity doing this. If you look at the picture, they've got everything from the bridge to water and islands, and this is very entailed and pretty impressive. So it's in the show notes for those interested. Next up is a rather hilarious and rather awesome thing Tweetbot is doing to their users that pirate the app. Here is what you will get if you pirate this app. You will get tweeted out, "I've been demoing a pirated copy of @Tweetbot and really like it, so I'm going to buy a copy." And I find this hilarious that they did this, Tweetbot did this, and I love that they have the power to do this. If you pirate their app, they're actually able to showcase that to the world that you are a thief. So pretty awesome there. And it also really helps them identify who the heck is stealing this app, because they can just search on Twitter and find those users really easily via their Twitter handles. So kind of a funny thing there. I would love for Twitter to invoice those people. Next up today, a little bit of Spider-Man 2 news. That is the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Chris Cooper, who many of you may know from some of the other films out there that he has done. He's known for American Beauty, Bourne Identity, The Patriot. He will be playing the Green Goblin, a.k.a. a.k.a. The dad of, I forget actually. So, the Green Goblin villain, he was, Osborn. So, sorry about that. Osborn. Harry Osborn. This was a villain that was in the original Spider-Man trilogy, and I'm excited to see him back in this one. So, that's pretty cool news there. Let's move on to, I think, probably the biggest Apple-related story of today, and that is Apple's shareholder meeting. And I have linked in the show notes for those interested a live blog of this event. So there's lots that was said during this event, and I'm not going to go through all of it as that would get really, really detailed, I think. And some of the funny choice quotes are, "Do you think Einhorn's lawsuit is silly?" Cook says, "I absolutely do." And there's lots of just funny things like, for example, shareholder complaint, "No bathroom in 3rd Street Promenade Apple Store." Yeah. So there's some funny things to be read in here. So for those that have the time, this is definitely a worthwhile thing. I don't think any huge news came out of the shareholder meeting. There's some good quotes, but there wasn't a stock split or anything like that I found out so far, at least. Next up is a really, really weird thing from Time Warner Cable, or perhaps a misdirection, where Time Warner Cable says there's no consumer demand for gigabit Ethernet. Kind of like the Ethernet that Google Fiber provides people in Kansas City. So this is ridiculous to me that people obviously want high-speed internet, especially if it's priced where Google Fiber is at under $100. I would definitely want that kind of speed. And there is consumer demand for it, and this is just kind of crazy. Next up is a brief mention that iTunes accounted for 60% of all digital music purchases in 2012. Kind of cool. And related to digital music is out of Amazon's Cloud Player. The app has been updated for the iPad, so that is out now. And if you're an Amazon customer, you might be a Kindle customer. If you are, don't update to the latest version of the app because it will delete your library. You'll basically have to re-register your Kindle to your iPad, which is not a fun thing to go through. What else in the digital realm as far as content? Well, iTunes or Apple has rolled out iTunes Cloud movies and TV shows in France, Denmark, Greece, Norway, Sweden, and Holland. 12 countries in all. So this is really awesome news. This technology or this feature has encouraged me to buy so much more content, which is good for the people selling it. Next up, some passbook related news. First up is we got some information that 13 Major League Baseball stadiums in 2013 will be accepting passbook as a form of ticketing. So if you live in these areas, the Boston stadium, thankfully, will accept this. So if I want to go to a Boston Red Sox game, I can use my iPhone to actually use it as a ticket. Meanwhile, Samsung has unveiled their Wallet app, which is a complete ripoff of Passbook. Everything from the icon to the implementation to their response on why it doesn't support NFC, which is on many Android phones. That it's all basically copy and cut from Apple's Passbook. The NFC thing's hilarious. That it was basically just what Tim Cook said, and they just copied that for their response. It's really entertaining there. So back to the music realm is Spotify. Their iPhone app has been updated with a fresh interface for those that use it. Go ahead and do it and update that app. And last of the day is just to mention that Photoshop Touch is now available for the iPhone. And it is a $5 app. This is not a universal app that we've had all along with the iPad, but a new app. It's $5. And I believe Android phones have had this as well. And I guess before closing out the show is the final mention of today's news is that Instagram now has 100 million active users. So pretty wild news there, and it seems that they are still growing as I would expect they would. So thank you for tuning into today's episode of iWake. You can find show notes at iWakePodcast.com. You can find my videos at youtube.com/TCHATEN. And I have written some books. The first book I wrote, iPod Evolution, is available in the iBook store. Just search for iPod Evolution in iTunes and you should find it. It's also available at iPodEvolution.net. So thank you for tuning in to today's show, and I'll talk to everyone again on the next edition of iWake. Have a good one.